All right, so today we're going to be talking to Karina, who is a member of our private Facebook support group. She's bought in some of our programs, and she has gotten her ex back, but she hasn't seen him yet. And what's interesting is I don't know her situation like the back of my hand, but I'm assuming there's some sort of long distance situation going on there. And next Friday, she's going to be seeing him for the first time since getting him back. And she's going to tell us the entire story of like how they broke up and how they got back together. But first off, I just want to say welcome to the podcast, Karina.
Hi.
All right, so man, there's a lot to cover here. You have yourself a real interesting situation. So why don't we just start from the beginning? Like, what caused this breakup?
Well, we've been almost, well, that time he broke up with me in September when he just got back from deployment.
Okay, so
He's
he's an army
he's
guy.
an army, yes.
Okay,
Well, we've been almost together for 7 years, and
wow, 7 years together. Okay,
yeah,
so he broke up with you in September of this year. Wow, it didn't take you long to get him back at all. I'm sure it was miserable though.
yes, because it was like out of the blue. I was not expecting that.
Okay, so he gets back from deployment and he out of the blue breaks up with you. How does he break up with you?
Well, he came back in August and he had to go back to Oklahoma because that was his last duty station since he came back 3 years ago from Korea. And I live in Texas. He lives in Oklahoma, and it's 4 hours, 4.5 hours away from us. And I saw him for 2 weeks, and he came to Texas because he had his stuff here in his car and he needed it. And we had this house here together.
So you owned a house together.
I own a house, but
You own a house, but he was kind of living with you.
yes.
Okay, so you were living together. You're together for 7 years. He comes to, so when he came to visit you in Texas, had he already broken up with you?
No, but and something was odd.
Okay, so your spider sense is tingling. You're like,
Yes,
okay,
you have
something's
this
up.
gut feeling. And I mean, we didn't see each other for a year. Of course, he was deployed,
Oh,
and the greeting was kind of like messed up.
so messed up. Define messed up. Like he just does some sort of awkward hug, like Voldemort did in
Yeah, it
Harry
was
Potter.
awkward. It was just awkward because I was expecting him late in the afternoon, and then I was outside, and all of a sudden I come in and I had this friend in my house that I didn't know of. And I was kind of caught me by surprise. And
So
then he
hold
came,
on. So he came to home. So I guess he had keys to go home. He comes
yes,
home, and then you are like getting off work. You come home, and you're just like all of a sudden there's this random person in your house.
yes.
Is the random person a girl or a guy?
No, it is a guy. He
Okay, well at least it's a good. It
no, but
didn't take that bad of a turn.
it
Okay,
was
so
it was awkward because I didn't know him. I knew
that's
his
really
name, but
weird.
I could not put face and face together. I never met him, so
So
he.
maybe he was like bringing the friend for support because he knew he was going to break up with you, and he was like, if someone's there, she won't freak out."
No, not like that. He picked him up from Oklahoma because his car was here the whole time,
Okay,
and
so
he had no ride, and
so
his
this random guy is just sitting in your kitchen, and just you're like, "What the heck is this?"
yeah. So it was kind of awkward because, and then I did not know that. Well, I kind of knew that his friends bringing him here, and is doing him a favor because he had to come to the town anyway. His friend, so he gave him a ride here. So, but I could. He was just standing here in the living room, and I'm like, oh, okay, hold on, who are you?
Okay.
And then he came around a corner. I guess he was looking for me in the house, and then yeah, he gave me a hug. He kissed me, and it was kind of like awkward because we didn't see each other for a year, and his friend was here that I don't know of.
Oh, I get it. So you're like expecting this really romantic, like let
Yes,
like, oh my God, you're back. And instead you get this awkward hug and kiss and some third parties sitting there and watching it all.
yeah, that was very
That's pretty
awkward.
weird. Yeah. So does he like cut ties with you immediately, or does he like?
No, he was here for 2 weeks before he had to go back. He told me he wanted to do this school in the army that's really hard,
Okay.
and people don't pass it, but he wants that to do that school for his career.
Is it like a sniper type school or Navy SEAL type thing?
No, no, he's air defense,
Okay.
and it was something for that to get promoted faster and be in a better position to get
Okay.
better jobs when he get out of the army.
Got it.
So it was very important for him. I knew about this, and he told me it would start on I think it was the beginning of, no, the 13th of September. So he was here for 2 weeks. It was kind of awkward. He was always like distant. He was always on his phone, distant. He didn't want to do anything. And I took off for a week because I wanted to do something with him and my two kids. It's
Okay.
not his kids. They're my previous kids from two previous marriages.
Okay, I see. So you have two kids, and you've been with this guy for 7 years, and you just wanted sort of the family to be back together.
Yes. And it was kind of like he was not there. So I knew in my gut something is wrong.
So he was physically present, but not emotionally present. Is that like an accurate way of looking at it?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, he's general unemotional, but this time it was like,
Like cold, stone cold.
yes,
Okay.
really cool.
So I'm assuming when you kind of sense like, hey, he's much more withdrawn than normal, you confront him about it.
I tried, but I couldn't because I was in my own mental health stage.
Okay. So I mean, like the dam's gonna break here. So like how does this breakup occur? Like who initiates it?
It was he after the 2 weeks. It seemed to be normal again. Like we call we talk on the phone a lot, or texting a lot during the day. It was a normal thing for us. He was not only my lover and my partner; he was my best friend too. I tell him everything. And I was at work, and it was 5 days before he had to go to school that I got a long text message at work.
All right, so he does the text breakup.
Yes.
What does this long text message basically say? Just give us like the gist.
That he was thinking about it, about his future, and it's he has to think about it himself, and he cannot go on with this. And like he still, yeah, like he has to think about his career, and but he still wants to support me and wants to be friends with me, and that he still loves me and my kids, and but he cannot go on like this. So there was no indication what exactly was wrong.
He just said like, "Hey, I can't do this anymore," and then just
Yes, basically, but I couldn't read the whole text because it was long. And then I was at work. He knew I was at work. I mean, since years and years, 5 years, I'm working in the same place. He knows when I got off and when I have to work. So it caught me by surprise. And I called him at work, and he was saying me basically the same things. Sorry.
it's okay.
Like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that whole spiel. So,
Yes.
all right. So, what is your first reaction to this? Do you immediately go into panic mode and try to fix things? Do you immediately kind of say like, "Well, screw you, I'm going to do my own thing"? Do you go to the internet and start searching for ex-boyfriend recovery? Like, what's your first approach to this?
Well, I hang up on him while he
Okay.
was talking.
So anger.
Anger, and
Okay.
not only anger, I was shocked. I was in a state of shock.
Yeah.
So I hang up on him because I couldn't hear his voice. I didn't want to hear his voice and all this. How can you say that BS?
Got it.
Because it didn't make any sense to me.
To me, it
And
just seems like there's some aspect of the equation that he's not telling you.
yes, so I even asked him on the phone, "Do you found somebody else? Did you met somebody else?" And he was saying no. And when he told me, okay, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, that was for me the point. Like, okay, I hang up on you, and I crashed at work. I had to go home. I was crying. I
Oh,
was on the floor. I did not wanted to that he hears that over the phone that I was crying, because I'm the kind of person, I'm not showing weakness.
right.
And then basically I went home. I did not know what to do. I called my mom in Germany because I don't
Okay.
have family here. So, oops,
Looks like your
sorry.
mom's calling you.
No, sorry. And then call my mom, and she was like, "Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Leave him alone."
All
Basically,
right.
that's what she said.
So the age-old advice of just like, well, we're just gonna leave him alone at this point.
Yeah, let him
But
think about it. Leave him alone.
but
And
it's never that easy, is it? You're still like
no,
are
it's
set
not.
like
It took me 4 days
okay, 4 days before what happens?
that I sent in a begging text, and
Ah,
that's
okay.
not me. Yeah.
All right. So what does the begging text say? Like, just please rethink. Like, let's get like
Yeah, like I love him. He's my best friend.
okay.
How can I fix this?
Right. Okay.
And that's when he was cold. He was very cold. He was like, "Yeah, you have to respect my decision, and I already told you, and it's over." And I keep asking and asking, and like, why is it over? And because I wanted to know what happened here, because it was out of the blue. It did not make any sense to me. And then he texted more things like, "I told you so many times what the problem was, and you keep ignoring it."
Okay. So what? So he's saying he's told you what the problem is. What does he mean by that?
It basically started when he got deployed the first time to Korea, and I started getting depressions.
Okay, so he's worried. He feels like your mental health is attached to his being away from you, and he feels almost like guilt from that. Or what is his thinking behind that?
Basically, I was not communicating that time for 3 years and try to hide it, and just started complaining about my job, my life,
Okay.
my kids, like everything. I was
Well, that doesn't seem like
negative.
an abnormal thing, unless it is maybe just overly negative. Is that what is that how he perceives it? Like you're just too negative? Is that what
Negative,
he's
and it
saying?
was not me. He knew
Okay.
that.
So maybe it's more of like, well, you're not the person I thought I was dating.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
that's how he frames it. And I'm sure you don't take this information too kindly, do you?
No, because at this point, I mean, we were almost 7 years together, and how
That's
could
a
you leave
long
me
time.
like that? So, but for him was like all the time. Even he said on the phone, the last phone call we had, and he said, "You never communicate." And that was another problem, one of his problems, that I'm eating everything inside, and then out of the blue, I'm gonna explode. And he tried to give me advice for everything the last 3 years, and try to help me. And I was just basically sitting there and say, "I know, I know, I know." And he couldn't take it anymore, because I developed anxiety, a panic attack. I couldn't drive anymore, and I was
Okay.
always the speed racer.
Okay.
So, and he felt like he was failing, and he couldn't help me anymore. He didn't know what to do anymore. It was he had no choice to break up.
Okay. So that seems like he's communicating that pretty well. But obviously you still want him back. So eventually at some point you probably go to YouTube, or you could probably come to Google or something, you find some of the stuff I'm writing about or talking about, and you buy into the program. What was your experience like from that point?
Well, after that begging text, and it didn't work out so well, of
Yeah,
course.
those usually don't work too well.
Yeah, then at work, well, I was trying. I mean, I was like, okay,
Everyone does it, so don't feel
yeah, I'm like,
bad.
okay, you cannot be that cold hearted in 7 years
Right,
of me.
right, right.
And you tell me you love me, and I try to understand that phrase, what Americans say, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." It's not something like that we European people use.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's
So
kind
I
of a
try to
paradox,
understand
isn't it?
that. And then I start Googling right away after that text message, and it didn't went well because he just blew me off. He like, I need to go. I have to work. I have to study for my job, for the school. And you know, and one of the final sentence was like, work on yourself. I work on myself.
Okay.
So I knew what the problem was at this point, and I was like, how can I fix this, and how can I get him back? And yeah, and I found you, your
Okay.
side, and bought your program and start reading
You start
like
reading, you start watching the videos, listening to the
videos.
audio. So I noticed you were an active participant in the Facebook group, because before our interview, I was going back and looking at some of the things that you were posting and responding to people. But what I always find is interesting when people buy into the program, not everyone has the same path within the program. Some people use parts of it, some people don't use it at all, some people use it to a T. What was your experience with regards to that? Did you try to follow it as closely as possible? Did you have any hiccups? Did you make any mistakes?
No, I was that day. It was September 10. That was the day when I went to no contact.
Okay. September 10th, you learn about the no contact rule. You're like, okay, I'm going to try this.
Yeah, so
How hard was that?
very, very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Very
pretty
hard.
it's like going through another breakup, going through that no contact
Yes,
period.
I had
Did you fail? Did you
no.
Wow, okay. So you're like one of 2 out of 10 people don't fail that on the first try. So what do you do during no contact?
To be honest, I went crazy.
Okay. Well, at least you're honest.
I went nuts because you went through all those emotions. Like, okay, especially with me when you with somebody so long and out of the blue, being ice cold, and I'm like, why doesn't he love me anymore? And I'm useless. I'm not worth it. But then, like I said, I started reading your program. I started watching videos, not only yours, from other people about relationships, men, how men think, and doing no contact. I wanted to know everything. That was basically what helped me
So
not to
you
break
start
contact.
you said you start watching videos. Were they just general videos on how men think in relationships, or is it specifically about how men think during no contact?
Everything, both.
Okay. All right.
Because
Just
that
just
was
wanted the
always
clarification.
interesting for me. And the psychological thinking from humans. So that was holding me back not to break contact.
Okay.
Because I knew you have to do the opposite. And
And
not
you're sorry, go ahead.
like you have to do the opposite and not what your emotions tells you to do, because it will mess it up. That was the
Yeah.
hard thing. Even if you think, oh, he's gonna forget me, and I need to text him and everything, I was like cutting my fingers off not to do this. I went to the gym. He's a gym freak. I used to go to the gym. I was fit, and I was doing sports since I was a kid. And I was like, I want my body back. And
Okay, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna go work out.
work out. It helped among us with the anxiety and panic attacks that I fought. Then I had a coach session with Anna.
Okay, so you got Anna to help you.
Yeah, because there are times that I was like, I don't know what to do. And
So what was some of her advice on the coaching session?
well, she asked me how I was before when we met, and that was something I had to think about it. Like, yeah, she's right. Because that's
Okay.
the Karina that I was before. Then the Karina from 3 years was depression, anxiety, and panic attack. And he didn't know what to do, and that he had no choice. I was in a sinking ship. And
Okay, so she's just trying to get you back in touch with sort of
yeah, with
the
myself.
energy and the essence of the person you were when you first met him.
Yes. And work on myself and fixing the problem, not only to get him back, but for myself.
What were some of the things that you did to do that? So you mentioned that you had this depression. You mentioned that, and breakups don't help depression. Obviously, I just want you to know
No.
that. But you also had these panic attacks, which I've actually had a friend. I remember in college, she had a panic attack. Like when we were out for like an extra credit assignment at some museum. A bunch of us just had a panic attack in the middle of the museum, and no one knew what to do. It was like kind of a frightening thing. So what did you do to, I'm not going to say overcame some of the stuff fully, but what did you do to kind of make inroads on it?
The gym.
The gym. So actually for you, it was more of a physical, like exertion type aspect that helped you deal with it.
Yeah, that was. I mean, Anna told me to go to a counselor and everything. I did it, but I don't know if it's a here kind of thing. They're trying to describe your pills and everything. I don't want that because I did that before I met him years
Okay.
ago.
So for you, it's more of just like, I want to do something. I want to take some type of action, and going to the gym, physically exerting yourself, going for a run or something like that is what helped you
Yeah.
the most. Like just
Yes.
getting in motion.
Yeah, and then it's distracting you too,
Right.
not to. Yeah, I'm guilty. I was stalking.
Okay. Well, no, everyone is guilty of that too. Everyone doesn't want to admit to it. And I'm just sort of like, just be honest, it's okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so
So you did the Facebook stalking thing. Were you still friends on Facebook?
no, right after that begging, no, it was literally right after he texted me the breakup text, he deleted himself from Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat.
So he just deleted his profile?
Yes.
Wow, that's an interesting approach. Okay, so he deletes his profiles. But how did you Facebook stalk him if he deleted his profiles?
I was hoping it pops up one day or something.
Oh, I see.
Or
Okay.
Instagram, and he deleted me from. He still had his Instagram, but he never posted anything. Even if before that he posted randomly things and all that. So he basically was like he was never there.
Wow,
And
he just like erased himself from reality
yeah,
digitally, I guess.
so I was thinking about it maybe because he has to focus on his school. He doesn't want to see anything about me. And he unfriended me on Instagram. But Facebook was completely, he erased himself.
Wow, that's a
And
big move.
yes, right after that text and when I called him, it was shocking for me.
Well, I think it does go to show that the breakup did hurt him as well. And we're going to find that out, obviously, when you do get back in touch with them. But your no contact rule, how long did it last?
39 days.
39 days. So you went more of the longer period of no contact. And then after no contact is up, how did you feel? Did you feel like you were in a better place emotionally, or were you still had work to do?
Well, when I talked to Anna and me and Anna decided to do what is it called? Into division into that word, like doing a no contact for then the usual 30 or 45 days, because I told her about the school and it was from the 13th of September to after before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So we decided to do that just to leave him alone, don't bother him and anything like that. So in the whole time, I was counting days, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do that, but I was keep going and going. I had to go to work. Even people saw that at work. I was not feeling well. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I did exercise beyond no return. I was
Okay.
ready to death.
You went all in on the exercise.
Yes.
Okay. And it seemed to
Read.
work for you.
Yeah, it worked for me. And then I ordered your book, Ungettable.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you got Ungettable. You
Yeah,
read
I was reading
Ungettable.
that.
Yeah, did it actually come? There's been some ever since COVID happened. There's been some delays on
Yeah,
people
it
receiving
came.
it.
It
Okay,
took, I
good.
ordered it from Amazon. I think it was 3, 4 days later that I got it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And yeah, everything I could find on the internet, YouTube, your page, I was reading it, even at work, just
You
to
just
distract.
immersed yourself into it.
Yeah,
All
because it
right.
was interesting.
Okay. Did you end up listening to this podcast that you're on right now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's gonna be a treat for you. I bet you were thinking like, oh, I hope one day to be on that podcast.
Yeah, kinda. But I was, like I said, I went to the stages emotionally. Yes, I want to text him. No, I was like, I always, even at work, when I had to go to the bathroom, I looked myself in the mirror. I was like, no, you're gonna make it. You're not breaking contact.
Okay. I
You
love
have
it.
to do it. If you want him back, you have to fix yourself and don't break no contact.
Okay,
Don't
so
break
you
it. Keep going.
all right, so you kind of took the extreme ownership approach, which is like no matter what, I am going to do everything I possibly can, what's
Yeah.
within my power to make this work.
Yes.
But there's an extra element to it, and that's where you have to get back into talking to them, right? So your no contact is 39 days. Does he reach out at all to you during those 39 days?
No.
Not at all. So that has to be in the back of your mind, a worry.
Yes.
Who reaches out to who first eventually? Because the no contact's over. Usually we tell our clients to reach out first. What was your experience with that?
I did not know really what I was expecting, or what should I do, because normally, like, it's supposed to be before Thanksgiving, my first text.
Right.
And of course, you're hoping he's reaching out, but depends on what he's writing or what he's texting you. I will go from there, even if it's a stupid thing like, yeah, I miss you or something. I would not answer that. Yes, it makes you happy, but it makes you only happy for 10 minutes maybe, and then you fall back in the same misery that you were before. And I did not want that. I had to acknowledge this old relationship with him is over. It's gonna be a new beginning.
Okay.
So
So you reach out first, I'm guessing.
no, I was
No.
not.
Wow. Okay. So he reaches out first.
Like, yeah, I'm the kind of person that have too much pride, and I was like, I want this so bad. I cannot fail. I'm that kind of person.
Okay.
Even if I'm suffering, crying, I was crying a lot. I was even
Oh, okay.
crying 2 days before he reached out. I was crying. I'm like, I'm worthless. And I'm always like this pep talk to myself. No, you're not. You
So
got to make it. If you want him back, you
I
got
like that. I
to
like
this.
that a lot. Okay, so you just basically reprogrammed your brain to
Yeah.
anytime you had maybe a catalyst for depression, you would just sort of grab it and say, "No, that's wrong. I'm
Yeah.
better." And then
Yeah.
he reaches out. So what does he reach out with?
I was the whole 39 days I was working on myself, trying to make myself better, and I didn't post anything for 4 weeks.
Okay. Is
Even
that abnormal for you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I post randomly things on Instagram, not much on Facebook at all. And because I was still looking if he's on Facebook again, and he was the week before he reached out. I was at work and I was randomly looking, and then all of a sudden his Facebook profile popped up, and I was still friends with him, and he didn't post anything either. So it was kind of like, okay, what is he doing? And should I post something? Or maybe I want him to feel and think the same way what I was thinking. Like, okay, where is she? Like, I was thinking in my no contact, what is he doing? We all do that.
Right.
And I was mirroring him,
Okay.
basically. So he started all of a sudden posting things on Instagram, and I had a friend, she was looking at it because I'm not looking at it. I want to know, but I'm not looking at it.
Okay.
Even if you want to, I know people do
You
that.
got a girlfriend who's going to do it for you, sort of the go between.
Yes, and it's wrong because I start crying again. I was emotional, but then 10 minutes later, hey, you gotta keep going.
Okay.
You want to win, you got to keep going. And
Okay.
then I started posting gym pictures, the UG pictures, ungettable
Mhm.
pictures.
Yep. And how'd
I,
that work?
he didn't like it. He didn't like my picture, but he was seeing it.
Okay.
Then I posted the day before he reached out, so day 38, that I'm doing school. I'm trying to find another job because that is the main thing that destroyed our relationship too. Because I was
Complaining
unhappy
about
with
your
the
job a
job.
lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
he liked that picture,
Okay. And then he reaches out.
and he texted me with exactly that sentence. Why do I have to leave you? Nah, what was it exactly? Something like, why do I have to leave you so you live again? To live again.
Oh, so it's almost like he noticed the changes
Yes.
and he was like, this is the person that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is an interesting first reach out text, by the way. That's very direct. Um, how do you respond to that?
I respond like, in emotional control. Something like I did a lot of thinking, and I had to change because I did not want to be in that stage anymore, in the depression stage, and live in it.
Mm,
That was my answer, like short and
to the point.
to the point. And then he started texting me again, like, I'm proud of you.
Okay. So,
And
so you guys sort of start this very easy communication on day
yes,
39.
but I made him, my texts are short,
Okay.
direct,
So
on
he was a little
point.
bit more invested in those text messages than you.
Yeah, because I didn't want to give so much out from myself in the beginning and then push him away again or scaring him away.
Okay.
I want him to leave him thinking and wanting more.
How did it work out for you?
He called me because
He called you that day.
he called me that day. He basically said, sorry for that word, I'm fucking with his brain.
Okay. So he's obviously getting very direct here.
Yeah.
So how does a phone call is this like when he asked for you back, like right away?
No.
No. Okay. So let's skip ahead to that. So the phone call, I'm assuming, kind of goes, how long does it take before he kind of asks for you back?
Not really asking me back.
So it's more of an organic type
Yeah,
assumption.
he is. He's not. How can I say that? He's kind of like. He's a logical thinker. From the beginning, why we last so long, it was like he always was attracted to my thinking and my brain
Okay.
because I'm different, and I accept him how he is and who he is because he's the same way. People think he's rude. He is aloof, and I'm the only person who understands him. And he wrote me before he called me. He was like, I can perfectly live by myself, but since I know there's somebody out in this world who understands me and takes me who I am, I cannot be by myself. So he
Okay.
meant me by that. So he
So
called me.
he calls you
It
and
took 2 hours. He asked me what I did and what happened to me and how did I change back to the Karina that I was before. And we talked like nothing happened. And then it was surprisingly, because normally he's always sleeping at 9 o'clock because he has to get out at 4 o'clock for formation. It's military.
all right, so he's up early.
Yeah, and I was surprised. We were on the phone for 2 hours,
Okay.
and it was cool. I kept my cool the whole time. I was even surprised that he called me. And then his last sentence was like, "Do you think I would not text you or call you tomorrow?" I was like, "I don't know." Other people would probably say, "Yes, I want you to text me or call me. Yes, I
Right.
hope so."
Right, right.
I kept my cool, and I was like, "That's up to you."
Okay.
And 2 days later, we texted. He texted the next morning, and basically, he was like, "We're back together."
Wow. Okay, so that it just became this organic.
Yeah,
He was really drawn to the energy that you had
yeah.
before. So we're coming up on like almost an hour here. So the last few questions I had for you were with regards to when you look back at your entire experience, and I want you to just pinpoint like what you feel worked. Like in your opinion, when you look back at your entire experience, this turnaround that he had, what do you feel like worked for you?
You got to stay in no contact. You got to work on yourself.
Okay, so it's kind of
Uh,
the
yeah,
standard advice that I keep hearing from all these success stories, which is like,
yeah, that is a standard advice. Even if he later he told me he had a rebound. He tried to replace me for a couple of weeks.
really? Okay, so that's an interesting turn. What did he have to say about that?
He was honest. He could have been lying. He asked me if I had somebody else, and I was like, no, I was working on myself and healing myself and be the Karina who I was before. And his answer was touche. But he had a rebound. Well, he didn't call a rebound. Basically, he's trying to tell me he tried to replace me. She was kind of like me in my worst stages the last 3 years, and he couldn't forget me,
Okay.
and he was still loving me, so he ended it. But I did not know because I thought he was not the type of guy that he would do that. But he was like, I just did not want to think about that 7 years down the drain. And I tried to move on and not thinking about us, not about me, even if he still loved me. And he couldn't shake it off. And he broke it off with her. He was honest.
So he was honest about how he went on this rebound and how he almost started comparing the rebounds to you, and
Yeah.
she just didn't really compare to the
Yeah. It
history that
was not me.
got it. And you really feel like the key to your success was not just doing a no contact rule, but what you did with that time during the no contact rule. A lot of how you were integrating some of the darker aspects that you've had trouble with before with the depression and the panic attacks, and how you just sort of attacked it via these exercises and these workouts. And I actually find it particularly interesting how you would look at yourself in the mirror and say, no, I could do this, I'm stronger than this. You
Hmm.
feel like that was sort of the essential key to getting back to the Karina that you were before things kind of took a downward momentum turn.
Yeah, so never ever give up on yourself, and never ever break no contact, because it's a time for you, even if it's the worst thing ever. You got to work on yourself. Watch videos, read books, everything you can find of, work on yourself, go to the gym. Yes, you have ups and downs, but you have to keep going through those. If you really want somebody back, the main thing is don't break the no contact rule, because it's for you and for the other person. And heal.
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 Heal. So healing, how
Yeah.
what was, when you say healing, what do you feel like was the best way that you did that?
Um, Basically, with my situation with anxiety and everything, and depression and panic attack, that was the gym. It was fighting my demons. That was for me for next week. I have to drive 4.5 hours. That is the first time I'm driving again that long and that far after 3 years. So I'm very excited if I can make it. I hope I make
You're
it.
gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're totally gonna
But
make it.
yeah, and just whatever the person's issue was, and if you know the reason for the breakup, I will work on it. And always remember, the old relationship is gone. You got to focus of the new thing. And
So the key for you, just so I'm having this right, was sort of don't break no contact.
yeah.
Make sure you use that time during no contact to face your demons, slay your demons,
Yeah.
and also have a distinct understanding that your old relationship isn't ever going to come back. Instead, it's time to create something new and better.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. So no, this is kind of an interesting question that I've been taken to asking, and this would be the final question because I know I've taken up so much of your time already. But one pattern I've noticed among my success stories is that there's this interesting tendency where at one point they almost kind of stop caring about getting their ex back. They almost kind of fall in love with the process of self reliance. Did you ever experience that? Because to me, I feel like you might be an outlier. Because when I hear your story, a lot of it seems like you were dead set on always trying to get him back. Was there ever a point where you're just like, you know what? If I don't get him back, that's okay.
Oh, I had those points too, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So you did sort of get down to that mindset eventually where you're like, you know what? I'm going to do everything possible if I can get him back. But if it doesn't work out, I'll still be okay. I feel happy
Yeah,
with where I'm at.
I had no choice. That's why I was always telling myself, don't break no contact, no matter what the outcome is. If you, yes, it was in the beginning and almost till the end, till we reached out. There were days, yeah, I'm doing this for him because I want him back. You're not a failure. But it was also for me, like, no, I have too much pride. And no matter what the outcome is, if he comes back or not, you will be fine. Yeah, it's gonna be hard and you're gonna heal from it, but you have to keep on living. That was for me the thing. Like, yeah, it was like, I don't care if he comes back or not.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so you're like the 11th person in a row who's gotten their ex back who has told me those exact words, like some
Oh,
variation of that. That I really believe that's a key. But the thing I'm noticing, and this is the one last thing I'd like your take on, is a lot of people who say that they experience this point of no return, where they like literally get to this point where they're like, I don't like, if I don't get them back, I'll keep living. I'll be okay. It's not something that they can pretend. They almost have to honestly feel it.
Yes.
Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not something that you fake. So it's almost like you're almost, for anyone listening to this, and hopefully you've listened to her entire story because it's an interesting one. But for anyone listening to this who's going through a breakup and is wondering what the secret key or the secret sauce is to getting an ex back, I think this is it. It's getting to this point where you feel like you have the fortitude to move on no matter what. And Karina is just a latest example of someone who did that. Awesome. She did such an excellent job of doing that. And
Thank you.
I would argue, Karina, that you had a really much more difficult situation because you had some of the more internal battles with your depression and your panic attacks. And even despite that, you overcame it.
Yeah,
So you should feel extremely proud of yourself.
I am. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on to the podcast, sharing your
No
story.
problem, Chris.